Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and having a beautiful day. Welcome to all of you who are new to my channel, and for those of you who are always supporting me, I thank you so much. In today's video, I will be talking about tension. I'm sounding very official. What's that about? Let's lose that. Let's start again. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and doing fantastically. Alright, so in today's tutorial we will be doing a video about tension. Kylie, I think it's Kylie Spiller, one of my YouTuber supporters, has reached out to me to find out about helping her with her sewing machine, her Quilter's Choice, which is the same one I have, and getting the tension right. In all honesty, I have no magical way of doing it. I'm going to show you what I actually did the first time to get the tension right, and I think is what I practice even with the my first sewing machine that I started quilting on, which wasn't really, I would call it, wasn't really a quilting machine as such. I felt it was just a sewing machine. Nevertheless, I think working myself through that particular machine, even though they said it can do free motion and it had a darning fit, but to me, in all honesty, not every machine can handle that constant jamming, as I call it, that bang bang, because quilting can be very hard on the machine. So I think I sort of trained myself, because it's very much a patience attitude you need to have with the tensions, and also very minute steps to make the changes. So I will demonstrate how to do that on your sewing machine, or if you want to take what I am doing on mine to filter out yours, of course, hopefully it helps. But today I will be talking about the Quilter's Choice, and that is the machine I use mainly for my quilting. All right, so we're going to go over there. So Kylie, I hope this helps. I must admit though that when I initially got the tension, and this was almost 2 years ago, I didn't touch it. All right, however, I had to change it again because the machine needed servicing, took it to get serviced, and obviously he changed everything that I had to do, that I did in order to get it nice and sweet for me. So and I happened to literally get it back in like literally 5 minutes. It was that quick. So I, in essence, know my machine, and I think that's what I'm getting to. Sewing machines, I sort of look at them as children. You've got to sort of kind of find your sweet spot, and you fine tune them to get them to do what you want to do. A bit like pets, really. Let's take Jackson, for example, We had to work together. I mean, sometimes he won and sometimes I win, and many times probably he win more than me. But, with this sewing machine, once we found that sweet spot, it was mellow. And once we have found those sweet spot, Jackson and me, that is, that verbal or non-verbal, is good now. He knows when I say, hey, stop it, he just sits down. Whereas with Carl, he ignores him. Okay, Karen, forget about your dog. Out the door, I am back to the sewing machine. So I'm going to take you over now to my Quilter's Choice. What I am going to do is remove the tension, and we are hopefully going to find it back together. I'm also going to do some example quilting on it so that to find that spot. Okay, now one of the questions that was asked was to do with, and I'm going to read here, because she contacted me by email, and in essence I sort of asked her a silly question: are you in Australia? I don't know why I asked that question. I guess I asked that question because it's the Quilter's Choice, and I know the Quilter's Choice is mainly sold in Australia. Here, I haven't seen it anywhere else, but I know there's a one that is very similar to it in America, which I can't remember the name at the moment. So I did ask if she was in Australia, and she obviously is. One of her problems was to find out the stitch length and the stitch width to adjust the needle for different thickness of fabric, because she likes to quilt some polar fleece and flannel and of course cotton. And obviously she do all three backs, not together but individually. And she said sometimes it's hard to get the stitching right. I apologize if I'm doing my eyes like that. Silly me, I haven't got my glasses on, and it's right here. Okay, so those were her problems. So I'm going to try my best to answer her, and hopefully answer you as well if you're having problems with that. I think once you have figured out how to really work your machine, and what I would say though, manufacturers, if you are listening, can you really make your instructions, you know, idiot friendly? I do find that with instructions for sewing machines are very idiot friendly. They do not break it down. They write the instructions as though they are speaking to one of their technicians or engineers. We are not engineers. We don't go into the background of the sewing machine. We just want to quilt and sew, and we want it to work. So when you write your instructions, can you please just make it idiot friendly? I don't want to have to sit and work it out in my head, you know, what you're trying to say. All right? So just make it, just basic English is all we want, please. Just that. All right? Okay. Let's get started. All right, so let's get started. So first of all, I have a little sample here. I'm using the cotton batting that I usually use, as well as a little piece on both sides, so you can see I am using brown thread and a grey thread in the bobbin. All right, what I would say though is that whenever I first get the sewing machine, what I would do normally is whatever quilt I am quilting, I will use the same fabric on the back and the front, just to ensure I get the tension right. So that's what I used to do. Now, because I use my Quilter's Choice for quilting only, I don't necessarily change the settings. What I have done for this session, however, is remove the tension that was there, that I already found, and I'm going to find it back on camera with you. Okay, so first things first, make sure you have a right needle in. And the needle I'm working with here is the Quilting machine needles, 9014. Why 9014? That's my sweet needles. I like them. There is a bigger size, I think, which is could be 16. Can't remember. There's a 16, I think. All right, but I don't like using those. I used to use them because in the beginning I wanted to see the holes, but I felt that the holes were coming up too big. And so for me, I stopped using that because every time I quilted, I could just focus on how many holes I'm seeing in the quilt. And so I found that the 9014, the holes weren't too big, they were just right, and I wouldn't focus on that too much, okay? I'm also using quilting thread, as I mentioned before, which is very important. Don't use any other thread. Find the quilting thread that works for your machine. This quilting thread, I think, I can't remember the name at the moment, but I will put it up on the screen. For this one, I had to try several out, and I eventually went into a sewing store and spoke to the gentleman, and he advised me to use this particular brand, and it was perfect, and I haven't stepped back. One thing about me, if I find something that works for my machine, I don't change. I stay. Life is too short. I don't need to explore. All right. A tip on the needle: if the thread keeps breaking, your needle could be dull. All right. Remember that not all machines are made to do quilting. Even though they may give you a darning foot, not the constant jamming, because you know the machine have a constant sort of tendency to go dang, 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 that rhythm, and not all machines are made. But this particular one, it is ideal because it's called Quilter's Choice. It is literally for quilting. Okay, it's quite heavy. It's a very constructed, strong machine. It's quite heavy, so it can take the jamming, so to speak. All right, so with the needle, change it if it's breaking. If the needle is dull, again, you're overworking the machine, and you would know if the needle is dull. You would hear that snap whenever you're pressing your machine feet. You'll hear your power foot, I should say. You will hear it tang, 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 and it's louder because you can hear it, and that's telling you that the machine needle needs to be changed. So I would say, you know, in your own time, you know, how many quilts you think you can actually quilt from it. And it depends on the size of the quilts also. Sometimes it might take me about 6-7 quilts before I actually change, and I would know because then I start seeing the signs. You know, the threads are breaking, the machine sounds really loud, as if it's overworking, and then the needle might break, it might bend as well. Okay, so before that happens, because I don't like when it breaks, because it scares me because it's so loud, so I tend to look for these things, or if I know I haven't changed it, I will just change it. Now, with the machine, before we get started, you need to ensure that your feed dogs are down. And you can see I have one with the line at the bottom that tells me the feed dogs are up, and the line at the top that tells me the feed dogs is down. Now, with this particular machine, as I keep saying, it's set up just for quilting. So normally, when I set it up for quilting, I don't adjust it any further. I think I just trapped. I could feel the difference. Left the needles in there. I don't change it. Okay, I don't change the adjustments because I just use it for quilting. So feed dogs are down. Now let's look at the bobbin. Bobbin is very important. The bobbin is important because what I have noticed about this particular machine is that if the bobbin is in the wrong way around, it's not going to quilt properly. What I do find is that the thread will be loose at the bottom and loose at the top, and I don't know why that happens, but I had to figure that on my own. Now I don't know if that's for all Quilter's Choice or all sewing machine, but I do know that the sewing machine requires the bobbin to be inputted a certain way, and sometimes if you're sewing or quilting, you know, and you change your bobbin, you may forget. All right, but this one, it must go in the way the bobbin is wanded on the actual from the spool. So when you put it in, I've only got one hand here because I'm holding. When you put it in, what I tend to do, I'll slide it in like so. Okay, and I wouldn't let it just go in. I must come from this end, and I don't know why, but I have to start from the right and let it slide in. I wouldn't let it slide in from the left, and for some reason it's happy with that movement. If I start to slide the thread just there, it doesn't like it. So I have to make sure the thread is on the right and come all the way around and let it come in and then go into that area there where the thread cuts. Okay, so that's that. So try to remember that. For the stitch width, which is this knob here, it obviously tells you. So it starts tiny and it goes all the way up to bigger. That tells you how wide it is. And this is the stitch length here. And this is your tension. Now, when you're free motion quilting, remember this is a manual machine. You need to make all the adjustments. The stitch width has no effect when you're free motion quilting. It doesn't come into play. One of the reasons for the feed dogs to be down is because you now are in control of the movement of the stitches. The feed dogs, when they're up, that governs the stitches for you. So that's making the movement. Okay? Hence the reason why your stitch width does not apply. The width of your stitches is applied when you are free motion quilting. So you govern the size of your stitches. Okay? So normally this, even if I have it on, it's not in play. However, I usually have it on 0 because in reality this is not in effect when you're free motion quilting. Okay, so when you put the feed dogs down, as you can see, it's down there. Let's come from the back. Hopefully you can make it out. All right, it's down because it is not moving the fabric anymore. So when you put it down, you are telling the machine you're in control. And I said that before. Now with the straight stitches, this now is important. I just leave it on number 1. Okay, now when you're moving, sorry, I don't leave it number 1, I leave it on 0 yet again, because again that's how long the stitches are. My apologies. Okay, I got confused with the tension. So 0 and 0 for both of them. Same applies. You are in control of the stitches width and the length of it. Nothing to do with free motion. That's you. So for free motion, leave these two on 0. Okay. What tends to happen is that if you're moving this dial on the side here, this is your stitch selector. This one here, it tells you what stitches you are selecting up there. Okay. Now if you want to leave it on the straight stitch, you can, like it is there. So you see there, it says straight stitches, because ideally I'm not doing anything, aren't I? So it's just stay there. So if you're happy to leave that on the sweet spot of 1, you may, if that makes you feel like you're doing something. Okay, but in reality it doesn't really do anything. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, just to, like, you know, I guess not to sort of confuse the machine, so to speak, and you will see it there, because this stitch selector here, if I turn it, you would see things moving. Yeah, so but I just leave that there is basically what I'm saying. I don't really interfere with it, because again it doesn't really apply. So 1 or 0 is fine, doesn't really matter. What's really important here is your tension. The tension is what you need to adjust when you are doing free motion quilting on this machine. Okay, at present it's telling me it's on between 4 and 3. Okay, so that is the problematic knob here. This is the one you need to mess about with. Okay, so I have my free motion footing. Let's get started and do a little bit of stitching and some samples and see what it is like with it being on 4 at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to bring my thread up. Normally, to be honest, I would just simply start sewing. I don't usually bother with bringing the thread up and all of that, but for demonstration purposes I will do so. Let's try and grab it again. I did pick it up. I'll try again. The thread was a bit short, so let's get a longer one this time. There it is. Right, okay. Alright, so happy with that. I was just trying to get the thread is a little bit spun around the needle, but I think I got it out now. I have my up and down light on, so if I were to make a stitch, it will stop up or down, as the case may be. Alright, so one of the things I do, I might do a starting stitch, like so, just to make sure. I didn't put my darning feet down. Now, I'm glad I remember that, or I'm glad that happened. One of the things I do like about this machine is that if I have forgotten to put it down, as I just did, it will still stitch good underneath. Now, that's when the tension is right. I am not sure what it's like when the tension is off. So we're going to do some loops and see what it comes like. We will check the top and the bottom. So I'm starting on 4 at the moment. right, so I just did any silly little stitches just to see what it looks like. Let's tear that off. Probably I should just, there you go. Right, first of all, okay, so on the back, I'm going to bring it a little bit closer. I'm just trying to find a pointy tool at the moment. My pointy tool. Now we can see here. Now where did we start from? We start from up there. And we worked our way down. Okay. Now at the top it looks lovely. It doesn't look like there's any problems at all. Okay, it looks fine. There's a little bit of a wide stitch there, and you can tell it's a bit loose because I can lift it up. I can put that through there. Okay, I can see that it's a little bit loose there as well. Look, I can see that. Okay, so easy it is to put that pointy tool through there and lift it up. Very easy. Okay, on the back, again, I can see where I have some little teardrops there as well. Or, you know, eyelashes is what I call them. You know, you can see that there. As well as there when I turned. Alright. The straight stitch here, you can see whereby, again, it's loose. And I can see the trail of the thread on top. Remember, the bottom is grey and the top is brown. Okay, so let's try again. So this is tension number 4. I'm just going to put a little 4 there so that we remember what's what. Hopefully this comes up. So that's 4. So we're going to make small increments. Now if you make big increments, when I say increments, I'm talking about moving the tension. So if I move my tension to 5, let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to go again. So I now raised it up. I'm raising it down now. Okay, so let's do the same thing. I'm still going to do the little loop. Alright, so let's try this out and see what it's like. So, from looking at it, it looks okay, in all honesty. I can't see any problems. The stitches are very, very small. And it's not, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with saying it's very small. This is basically the way how I have maneuvered my hand to actually sew it. On the front, all the stitches look lovely and even, and on the back it looks the same. Okay, now I can't see any negatives there, only hesitation movement where I have, let's move this out of the way, where I have like done a, you know, sort of a up and down stitch right there. Now that on 5 is fine. Okay, I can feel the stitches. It doesn't feel any loose movement or anything like that. It seems okay. So this is number 5 on the tension. All right, so again the width is on 0 and the straight stitch I've left on 1. Right, so let's try something else. I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it to say 5 1/4. Okay, so very small increments. So remember we started on 4, I moved to 5, and now I'm going to do 5 1/4. So I'm going to write 5 here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, rather than do loop-to-loops, I'm going to do swirls. And many times when you do swirls or stitches that require bigger movement, that's when you kind of see the problem. All right, so let's try it and see. Okay, that was quite a lot. So let's see. Again, this looks pretty good at 5 1/4. At the top, I don't see any stresses. Okay, so this is it here. Okay. No issues. I can't see any issues there. I can't see the bobbin thread coming at the top, nothing. On the back, again, seems ideal. Alright, so let's try doing a little bit of feather movement and see if anything different comes out. So let's write that down at 5 1/4. I must admit, the machine is no issues at all. As I said, it's really important that you just test it, that's all, and small increments on your tension. If you have an automatic machine, it will usually give you the ideas or the suggestion of what tension you should have. And most of the times, in all honesty, when I'm using my brother, because that's an automatic or a computerized machine, it doesn't give me any issues for tension because it automatically adjusts it for you. The only time you encounter the tension issues is when you have a manual machine such as this and you have to adjust it. But the importance here, and I'm going to stress it, is small increments, very tiny, minute movements. I made a big jump from 4 to 5 and that was okay. The machine solved itself, or the tension wasn't a problem. And then we did 5 1/4. I am going to go at number 9 where I usually use it. Okay, so I usually have my tension at number 9. So I'm going to do a little bit of feathers and see how that comes out. So I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to work my way up. If you notice, I'm not picking up my thread every time I start to quilt, isn't it? I just usually start, and I will then, you know, for example, at the back, once I have finished, I will then, you know, remove all the stray threads because it remains at the back. I never really, you know, bring up the bobbin thread, to be honest. It's something I very seldom do. So at the back of my quilt, when I'm finished, my idiot neighbor, young boy, he drives, I don't know why he's the only person who does that on the street, drives so fast, I don't know. Anyway, that's a different conversation. Let's move on. Okay, so the quilting looks good. As I said, I'm going to try some feathers now and see how that comes out. So just excuse me if my hands are in the way. I have big hands and I am unable to change that. That's my husband texting me as usual. Okay, right. So, going to do a lot. Okay. I mean, so far so good. I can't see any issues. As I said, I usually have it on number 9. So I went from 4 to 5 to 5 1/4, straight big jump to number 9 where I usually sit at. I haven't turned it round, but let me finish this and we'll see. What I will go back and do is do a number 3 and number 2 so we can see the difference. The stitches seem a little bit tighter at number 9, but then again, I am on this very small piece of fabric here, so I'm limited in space as well as grip, you know, to hold the fabric together. All right, let's see what the back looks like. What did I do with my scissors? I don't know. Oh, it fell at the back, isn't it? It was on top of the machine. All right, so that's what it looks like. For the feathers there. Okay. And let's see the back. Perfect. No issues at all. No issues at all. So what we're going to do as a trial, let's double up the batting and see if we get any further problems from the tension with it being a thicker batting. All right, because she did say she used different types of fillers for the quilt. Now, ideally, it shouldn't really matter, to be honest. Okay, and what I will try and do is do some wider, longer stitches. Okay, because I've been quilting for so long that my hand movement and my memory is just, it sits on one particular style of size of quilting, you know, spaces. So it's become the norm for me. So I'm gonna have to try and see if I can change it to a little bit wider and move faster, because I've been moving a little bit slower, whereby it's a little bit control. I do find that if I am quilting and it's a bit slow or too slow, I can make like wobbly movements because I'm a little bit used to going a little bit fast where I get a rhythm. That's another thing as well with quilting. You got to find your rhythm, your sweet spot in terms of that movement on the actual throat space. All right, so let's get some more fabric and a thicker piece, and then we will change to like 2 and 3 and see what happens. All right, so I have a new piece now at the back. All right, so just to point this out, this at the front, I think it's polycotton, sorry, this is polycotton at the front, the purple one that both we've been using. So a thinner fabric, yeah. So I have polycotton at the front here, and I have linen at the back here. All right, so let's see how it operates on these two fabric. Plus I have also folded the batting, so I have a double layer. All right, so let's see how we perform. So I'm going to start on the 9. Let's keep it on the 9 and see how it performs there. Then we will go back to number 5 and see how it performs there. Then we'll work our way down to 3, 2 and 1. So again, I'm starting on number 9. Alright, so let's do some loop-to-loops. So even on 9 with thicker fabric, no issues at all. No teardrops, no eyelashes, nothing like that. The only difference that you can see that prominent quilting a lot more. You can feel the fabric a lot more thicker at the front. Let's look at the back. Again, no issues there at all. We had a little bit of a thread knot there. Was that when I returned? That's when I started. I started really tight. You can see there. Really tight there. That's because I didn't really move my hands much. I'm really standing in an awkward position at the moment so that the camera can pick up what I'm doing. Okay, so that is number 9, but thick fabric. Sorry, thick filling or batting. So let's move down to number, let's try number 7. Let's see what happens at number 7. Let me move the camera so you can see it's on 7. Where is that tension? There. So it's on 7 there. Okay, so we were all the way at the tightest tension, which is fine. Okay, so we're going to go halfway, 7. I have my up, down needle on there. So when I stop, it will either sit in or sit out. Oops, I'm starting to sew without. I just put it, I put the camera on top of the presser foot. All right, so let's adjust. Okay, so here we go. Right, so same again. I'm going to just readjust myself. Just keep moving this. Okay. Right, what should I do here? Let's try a zigzag. Let's just try moving it side to side and see what happens. Okay, put that down. Again, this machine is performing very well. At number 7, again, no issues. Look at the back. Don't worry about those threads that I haven't cut. In fact, let me move it because then it doesn't obscure what I'm trying to prove here. Okay. So again, no issues. There's no teardrops. The stitches are looking good. No issues at all. Let's at the front, again, no issues. That's amazing. The machine is fantastic. I hope you guys can see why I love it so much. Such a brilliant machine for quilting. It's just amazing. Alright, so let's identify what they are so that we can look at it properly when we're done. So this is tension 7 and this is tension 9 again that we started back. Alright, so let's move down. So let's go lower. Let's go to, so we were on 5, let's go to 4. Alright, so I'm on 4 now. I will not move the camera again, but you gotta trust me that I am being honest with you. I think you trust me. I've never lied to you. I have no reason to. Right, so let's do, what movement can we do? Let's do up and down lines. the end of the front, that looks, let me see. Right, so we're getting some. So number 4, it's a bit loose. Okay, I can already see it looks a little bit different. I know the difference. At the back, it looks fine. Nothing seems that loose. Oh, I'm blocking all the light. Let me come back a bit. There you go. So you can see it there. It looks okay, to be honest. That's not thread, that's a pattern in the fabric. And at the front, I did see a little bit of sort of raised stitching just on one line. I'm trying to, there it is. There it is, I can see it. Let's get the, can you see that there? Yeah? Just on that stitch line only. So that could have been a movement of my hand. Again, also the thread is performing well. The thread itself is very good quilting thread. So that was number 4. Okay, so let's mark that there, 4. So let's go down to 3 now and see. So what this is telling me really is that the higher the numbers is better for the free motion. That's what this is telling me. Hence the reason when I found it on 9, it worked so well. I've never used 5 before. I've never used 7. 7 is good also. Right, so I'm on number 3 now. Again, you gotta believe me. No reason to lie to you. It just means I don't have to keep moving the camera. Right, so I'm thinking of what else can I do. Let's do some leaves or something. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, let's have a look. So the stitches are a little bit longer, obviously the movement itself is longer, so this looks beautiful, if I must admit. Very nice, nice pattern. So that's the leaves movement there, and again, no issues. Let's have a look and poke up one of these. A little bit loose, but nothing that the untrained eye would not pick up. It's still quite intact. Just look at the back, again, same. No issues at all, guys. I love this machine. Wow. Very, very good machine. So I hope that is really helping. Let's do the last one, number 2. So it wasn't 3 before. Let's do number 2 and see what that looks like. And then obviously the last one is number 1, but I don't think if we not get any problems on number 2. The only one that really gave us some problems was number 4, which is when we first started. And again, the machine doesn't need to be on any width, so I don't know if that's what you're doing wrong. You know, that you're adding in stitch width and stitch length. You don't need those. It shouldn't really be picking it up. So I am not having any issues at all with my machine. It's just performing the way it should. So let's try number 2 and see how we go with that. I'm just going to do some, let's do a heart. Oops, I wasn't ready. Let's do a heart. Since I did some stitches there, let's take the thread out. Let's do a heart and see. Okay, so this is number 2, and guys, I must admit this again looks excellent. Wow, I think this machine is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Look at that for number 2. Just brilliant. No issues at all, guys. There's nothing raised. There's no teardrops, nothing. It's just really brilliant. So we're going to put this flat and look at it in proper lighting so that you can see the difference. I'm going to make sure I mark them all. Alright, so let's go have a look at it properly. So I want to finish by showing you that the machine there is on number 2. Can you see that? Yeah, and just to repeat with the stitch width there, so you see it's on 1 for stitch length, stitch width 0. Okay, no issues with this machine at all, guys. Really, zero issues. All right, let's look at it, all the stitches closely. All right, guys, I thought we can try one more type of fabric. This is Shepra Leatherette, and I thought we can try. Now, this is the fabric you would see on jackets and stuff. I did a video using this on my brother Innovis, and I made Jackson a doggy coat with it. Now, I'm going to try it on the machine here and to see what it works out like. I've never used this particular fabric on there. I've tried flannel, etc. on my Quilter's Choice, and I will show you some stitches with those, or 2 quilts that I've made in the past. However, I'm going to try this Shepra Leatherette now and see what it works out like. Currently, it's on 2 for the tension, and again, it's on 0 for the stitch width, and 1 for the straight stitch. Do remember that the straight stitches, they have no bearings on the movement for the quilting or how the machine operates when it comes to free motion quilting. These are only for the selected stitches that the machine gives you. Remember, free motion is all about how you move your hand on the actual machine plate. All right, so let's adjust the camera so that you can see below, down below. There we go. All right, so free motion quilting, always remember, is about how much you move your hands. That's why some of my stitches were a little bit tight, because I am standing at an awkward position. Let's try and change it and see if I can get a better view for you. And yeah, so free motion is about how you move your hand, isn't it? That governs the length, or how tight, how short, how long your stitches is going to be. Moving faster will obviously give you a consistent stitch, because you are in what you're telling the machine is that you and the machine are at one together, and you can synchronize moving with the machine in that way. Okay, but I am going to try this Shepra Leatherette and see what it looks like. And because then that way I have literally tried to answer Kylie's questions, because she wanted to find out different backings. One was flannel, cotton, and I decided to add the leatherette, the Shepra Leatherette, onto there, so that she has a well-informed decision. Okay, and fleece as well. So I haven't got any fleece, but I think the Shepra Leatherette should cover that question, because to me the flannel and the fleece is very similar. However, the Shepra hair is very coat-like, isn't it? It's what you would have in the inside of a coat to keep you warm. So let's try it here and see how this performs. Sorry about the noise. I have Jackson. Literally, the dog is refusing just to let me stand. He has to sit on my feet. Sweetie, you can't sit there, darling. Move for a minute. Just stay there. I am just one step away from you. All right, here we go. Let me adjust myself because I need to feel like I have free movement. So as I said, we have number 1 for the stitch length, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I just want to let you understand. Here what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on 0. Let me just show you that right now. Put it on 0. That it makes no effect at all. All right. There it is. Stitch length on 0. Stitch width on 0. Stitch selector there is saying a straight stitch, but then that means nothing. Okay, that's just for when you need to adjust your sewing there. All right. All right, here we go. I just put it down. One of the things about the width in this machine is that you sometimes, and this is why I forget, because sometimes it does not appear as though it's raised. It looks like if it's down, when in reality many times it is up. So, but by putting it down, you can see a slight impression change on the actual fabric. Okay, so here we go. I'm trying not to put my hands in the way. Forgive me if it's taking a little bit long to start. I'm just trying to get a proper position here between my dog, the camera stand. Just trying to get a proper, comfortable position. Okay, I think I've found one. So again, still the same color threads. Probably I should have added different color thread to the top, but I've already put it in there. Right, so I think I'm just going to do swirls. Did I put it down? Yes, I did. I'm starting with swirls because I want to put the machine through the test properly. Straight line quilting ain't going to do it, yeah? So let's do the swirls. I'm going to do some loops or something. I'm going to do some zigzag. I'm going to do some meandering. All right, let's see what it looks like. I'm going to try and hopefully, now what so far has impressed me is that the thread didn't break. I can see the impressions on the quilting, on the chapra, so that looks fine to me. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm going to get everything together now, and we're going to have a comparison and look and make sure everything's okay. All right, so first we're going to start with what we started with at first. I'll make sure you're in the camera shot. So these were the first one we did. All right, so hopefully you can get a good idea there. All right, so let's start with the first one. The first one was number 4. Okay, so number 4 is where we had those loose threads, And let me get my, yeah, so those were the signs we were getting at the front. All right, those loose threads there. At the back, it was fairly okay, but not acceptable because we did have a little bit of teardrops, etc., or eyelashes movement at the back. Nothing too much. Hopefully you can make it out. All right. And then we moved on to number 5, which is this one here. That was fairly okay. My stitches were a little bit small, meaning they were short. I didn't do much movement there, but at the back it still looks fine. Then we went on to 4 1/4 with the swirls here. And again, it says, sorry, 5 1/4. 5 1/4 there. And the swirls there were fine. In my eyes, I can't see any issues with them, as well as the back with the swirls there. Then we went on to number 9, which is what I usually use to do my quilting. And remember, I am only talking about the tension. That's the only excuse me, that's the only dial I've been adjusting, all right? Now with number 9, you can see where I slowed down to turn, and you can see where I have done those dots there of impression, which I tend to do that. That's in a lot of my quilting, and I think that's just my technique. So you can see it there as well, where I've stopped to turn and the machine, I'm still quilting and the machine's going up and down in that one position. So you get that build up of thread there. Hopefully you can make it out. That's just my way of quilting, especially when I do feathers. I tend to see it a lot. I don't beat myself up about that, but that's just my technique. All right. Then we went on to lower numbers. So we went on to number 4 again. Went to number 4 and we did this up and down lines here, bendy. And remember, I'm doing these movements so that we can take the machine through to see how it actually performs and when it starts to make any, you know, any loops or anything. There's one here, as you can see, going through, okay, but on the back it was okay. And again, that could have been just my technique, because it's just one mishap in comparison to everything else. Then we went on to number 3. Number 3 was perfect as far as I'm concerned, doing the leaves there. That looks fine to me. The back again, using, I remember this was 2 pieces of batting, making it thicker, and we had linen at the back and poly cotton at the front. Again, no issues there. I did like the double batting, to be honest, because I think you get a nicer impression with the quilting, definitely. Then we went on to number 2 and we did some hearts and swirls, and we can see there really lovely impression for the quilting. But again, at the back, using linen, no mishaps, no bleeding, no teardrops, no tear, nothing. It comes out really lovely. All right, and what did we do after that? And then number 7, I tried number 7, zigzags here on number 7. The stitches were a little bit wider, not much, tiny bit wider. You probably won't be able to make it out, which is probably the size that I like. I do like a particular size with the quilting. If it's too small, I don't particularly like it. So, and I guess that's why I move fast. And I'll show you the size I like on the actual quilts. And then, of course, number 9, which is what I usually quilt at. And again, no problems there for the thicker part of the quilting, using the linen at the back and the poly cotton at the front with the double batting. All right. Now, just bear in mind going through these steps just to make sure that Kylie is happy, and it's really about getting her to adjust. Now let's go to the Leatherette Shepra. Now the only thing I would say about this is that it is not suited for quilting. Well, don't get me wrong, I shouldn't say that. It is suited for quilting because it has that batting texture there already. The only thing is that you're not going to see it. It's going to get lost, isn't it? Because buried through all that fur. Let's call it fur. Yeah, you're going to bury it all through there. You can't see anything. However, at the back, you can see the impressions of the quilting. I probably should have used a different color thread because it's brown, just like this. But at the same time, I cannot see any mishap with it at all. The important thing here to note is that it quilted it. You didn't hear the needle break. You didn't hear the machine struggle. You didn't hear the thread break or anything like that. So I'm trying to stretch it apart so you can see. But the quilting impressions is beautiful on there. Same way when I did the Jackson's coat, I did straight line quilting, and that was fine using the brother. So let me show you my quilts now with the flannelette and fleece, I think. So this is the first one I did, and you can see the quilting impressions there on it. Beautiful. Now it's cotton at the front. These are the questions she asks because she's quilt cotton, as we all do, as well as she does flannelette. And this is the flannel behind. No issues at all. None, 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 none. Okay, and you probably can't see it because I used a white glossy thread as well on this. What I would say is that when I say glossy, it is the thread you would use for my brain escapes me now, like when you do an applique. That's the only difference here that I used. And what I would say, if you are using that sort of thread whereby it's glossy, it's shiny, it may break a little bit more quicker than the cotton would, because again, or you may have to slow down your movement when it came to making that stitch. And I only use it in the bobbin. I'll make sure I make that clear. If I am going to use a glossy thread, I will do it at the bobbin, not at the top. At the front is just a cotton, because I want the strength to move the quilting around, to do that free motion. So at the tension for the glossy thread, and in fact there's a little piece sticking out there, hopefully you can see it, whereby I, when I cut the thread. So that's it there. But I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up being shiny. I mean, I can see with my naked eyes here, obviously, because I'm right very close to it. But that's it for the flannel. Beautiful, soft. I would definitely say perfect for a quilt. Perfect. Whoever buys this quilt, they're going to love it. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, I did another one as well. On this one here, and again, both of these videos are on YouTube if you want to make these quilts. And these are huge quilts, they're not small ones by any chance. For this one, I used the cotton, the white cotton at the top, or cream I think in this instance, and again it's the same flannelette at the back, but this one is more like a fleece, I should say, more like a fleece texture. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can probably see the width stitches on this one a little bit better than the other one, and I use white again. This one was not the glossy thread. This one is ordinary white cotton that I use. All right, and again it came out beautifully. No mishaps, nothing at all. Nothing. So I hope this answers your question, Kylie. So I really do feel that really you just need to practice the movement slowly for your quilting and get your tension right. I have tried quite a lot of the tension numbers for you, but for your machine, every machine works differently. And so what you really need to be mindful of is just make small increments of movement. And as I said, what I usually do is, like for example, when I did this, I tried it out first. So I had a piece of the same cotton, whether it's this one, the floral or the white, and a backing of this, the same thing, just a little piece, probably about 10 inch. And I just tried it out just to make sure that the machine was happy with it. Okay? That's all I did. So always try it out, and that's when you get to know the machine's sweet spot. Okay, same with this one. I tried them both out just to make sure I had everything right, and it was fine. So, and I tried it out just to make sure I didn't need to adjust the tension in any way, shape or form. So you can try that as a practice, but as you use the machine more and more, you and the machine will become one. But slow movements, small increments of tension movement, and you should be fine. Any problems, please don't hesitate to contact me. Or better yet, if you want to come over, because obviously you're in Australia, I'm not sure how far you are from Melbourne, bring your machine and we can work it out together. I'm quite happy to do that, to welcome you to my home. All right, so I hope that helps. Bye for now. Happy quilting. Any comments, please jot them down below. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Remember, we are talking about the Quilter's Choice. I am referring to the Quilter's Choice sewing machine here, or quilting machine, and I know there is another version like this that's called Baby Lock in America. So, but they are the same. They are literally just the same machine. If anybody's interested, they are very, very good for quilting. In my experience, I have not had any issues at all with this machine. Alright, bye for now. Happy quilting, and I will definitely see you in the next one, guys. Bye for now.